You guys are gonna absolutely love my homemade fish tacos recipe. They are so fresh and healthy, and of course, super delicious too. I'm Justin from Cooking with Coit. I specialize in clean comfort cooking. And remember, if you love this video, make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Let's get started. First, let's go over all the ingredients you need to make this recipe. Corn tortillas, a white fish like cod or halibut, chili powder, cumin, cayenne, garlic powder, salt and pepper, lime, cotija cheese, cilantro, Roma tomato, purple cabbage, mayonnaise, sour cream, butter, and olive oil. And for the special tools, all you're gonna need is a baking sheet. All right, guys, I know you are gonna love these fish tacos, and I am so excited to show you this recipe today. First thing you're gonna do is to preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and take your baking sheet and line it with parchment paper. I'm just gonna set that aside for now as we work on our seasoning. The first ingredient in the seasoning is going to be cayenne, and we are gonna add a half a teaspoon straight into a small mixing bowl. Next, we're gonna add a half a teaspoon of garlic powder and a half a teaspoon of cumin. I feel like cumin is really one of the most important seasonings in this recipe because it gives you this sort of Mexican flavor profile that I feel like if you just didn't have cumin, you just wouldn't achieve. Next, we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of chili powder. The chili powder is going to give you a nice little kick of heat. If you are not super into spice and a little heat, you could probably cut this back to a teaspoon or a teaspoon and a half. Next, we're gonna add a half a teaspoon of black pepper and 1 teaspoon of salt. And now all you have to do is give this a quick mix. All right, guys, so now we're gonna grab out our whitefish. And so for this recipe, I love to use cod. I think that's the best fish for these fish tacos. If you can't find cod for any reason, you could use really any whitefish. That could be halibut or even tilapia. I know tilapia can be a little sketchy. Some people really don't like it. So I'll leave it in your hands. I'm using cod, that's what I suggest. So just place your cod onto your baking sheet. And then next, I'm going to add some melted butter right onto this fish. But first, I need to go melt it, so give me a minute. All right, guys, I've got my 1 tablespoon of melted butter here. I am going to drizzle it all over this fish, like so. Next, I'm going to be adding 2 tablespoons of olive oil. You can measure this if you want, but honestly, you really don't need to. Just drizzle a little oil all over the fish. Doesn't have to be too precise. I feel like that's one thing that I find that makes people feel too intimidated to cook more, is that they feel like with savory cooking, they have to make everything so perfect and they have to measure so precisely. And yes, like generally you do wanna measure and you wanna keep in mind what the recipe says, but like also don't worry about it so much, you know? I think learning by doing is much better than being so worried about following every step so precisely. So if you decide to kind of change something here and there, just remember what you did, and next time if it didn't come out really good the previous time, just do it a different way the next time. So I say take a little pressure off and just kind of go with it. So now I'm going to rub this melted butter and olive oil all over the fish, and make sure, this is important, make sure you get the melted butter and olive oil under the fish too so that it doesn't stick to the parchment paper. So I like to just kind of squish it around a little bit, just like so. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do, well, let me wash my hand, 1 sec. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is add our seasoning straight onto the fish. So just grab it and sprinkle it on. We want a nice even coating all over the fish. Leave no part of the fish unseasoned. I'd say one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make who are just starting to cook is that they under-season their food. Give your food seasoning. Do not be skimpy with it because that is where a ton of your flavor is gonna come from. So just go for it. All right, I am also going to flip over this fish to the other side and season it on the other side as well. Now we're gonna pop this fish into the oven and cook it anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes or until it's become nice and flaky. While the fish is cooking, we are going to start working on this amazing sauce that is so tasty. All right, so we're gonna add a half a cup of sour cream. Whoa, a little too much. Yep, ooh, that was perfect. All right, next we are going to add a 1/4 cup of mayonnaise. Can't stand it when the mayo sticks in the cup. That's why you really need to have these little spatulas. I got them from this company called GIR, and I love the quality that this company makes, and it's just like the perfect size of a mini spatula. It gets into all of your cup measurements, and really anything that you need, like even scraping down a blender, it's really good for. So check out GIR. They're not paying me to say that, but I just really like their products. Next, we are going to add 1 tablespoon of lime juice. I'm not really measuring here. I think it's going to be, you know, I love lime juice, so I'm gonna go a little bit extra. I'm gonna add a whole lime, which is probably slightly over a tablespoon, but that's okay. Oh, I almost forgot a really important ingredient. Give me 1 sec. Now, you don't have to add this per my recipe, but I really like to add it in. And this is a little bit of hot sauce. This is Tapatio, one of my favorites. So I'm just gonna add a couple, maybe a teaspoon of hot sauce. Also gives it a really nice red and very beautiful color. There we go. So all you have to do next is just give this a mix. And this is exactly how the sauce should be looking right now. All right guys, so now we're gonna work on the garnishes for these fish tacos. We're first gonna start by prepping our cabbage. This is purple cabbage, and I am going to thinly slice 1 cup. Next, we're gonna prep our cilantro. I am going to chop 1/4 cup. I'm first gonna get rid of all of the thickest part of the stems, and then I'm really just gonna focus on the leaves and the thinner parts of the stems. Next thing we're gonna do is to dice up 2 Roma tomatoes. One note about dicing up the Roma tomatoes, I leave all the juicy bits in there. I think that little extra added tomato juice just makes these tacos even better. All right guys, so the fish has just finished. Let's take a look and see how we did. Oh, yes, okay. This looks absolutely amazing. So let me show you how I know that the fish is fully cooked and ready to go. So what I do is I take a fork and I just pull at it a little bit. And if it starts to flake up like it just did there, if it starts to fall apart just a little bit, that's how you know it is perfectly done. All right guys, so now is the time that we are going to assemble these fish tacos. So first, grab a little bit of fish. So I just like to flake it just like this, and then grab it and pop it right into the middle of your tortilla. Next, we're gonna add a little bit of our purple cabbage, followed by a little bit of our fresh chopped tomato, with a little sprinkle of fresh chopped cilantro. And now we are going to grab our sauce that we prepared earlier and just pour a little bit right over the top. 2 things to finish. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of cotija cheese. And this cheese is so great because it's so crumbly. You don't even have to grate it. You just kind of smash it up with your fingers. And the last thing that I like to add is just a little squeeze of lime right over the top. All right, this fish taco looks so incredible. I cannot wait to give it a try. But before I do, if you love this recipe and you wanna see more just like it, check out my Mexican recipes playlist. Okay, let's give it a try. And look how amazing these look. Guys, these fish tacos are so incredibly tasty. You've got all this great seasoned fish coming through with the cilantro, the cabbage, and also this really great sauce. Guys, you are gonna love these tacos. I hope you give them a try. See you in the next video.